Welcome to Empty Nesters True Crime Podcast, where we explore chilling mysteries and dark secrets. With their nest now empty, Susan and Nancy have more time to uncover the truth and venture into the unknown. Let's step into the shadows together, shall we?
Hey, Susan.
Hey, Nancy. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. We're recording a little early this week.
Yeah, because somebody's going away again. And it's not me.
Ha! I am. We are headed to Florida on Friday, going to see The Mouse and the Kid.
How exciting. And I heard she's got some exciting news, some big girl news.
Yep, big girl news. She and her friend have found an apartment when they finished their internship with Disney. And they have decided to stay in Orlando.
In Florida. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Obviously, she's really liked it there.
She loves it there.
Very cool.
I would think out of all the places in Florida, I would maybe want to be closer to the ocean. But it's not my life. It's hers.
Yeah. I'm glad that she's going to call that home for a little bit.
This will always be home, but could be your second home.
Okay, so first let's talk about our drinks, Susan. So my episode, it takes place right here in North Carolina. So this drink is the Carolina Blue. What do you think?
It is so good.
I always do the fruity sweet drinks, but yeah.
You do always do the fruity sweet drinks. And they're not always my favorite, but I don't think there's been one that you've made that I haven't liked.
Yeah, our producer, he likes a straight bourbon. Susan, you're good mixing cocktails, and I stick to the sweet. But this is a fun one, and please follow our video so you can see us make it and what it looks like.
Well, this is how this relationship works. You're sweet and I'm not.
Okay. Well, you're sweet, Susan, but yeah. Okay.
Now, stop lying.
That's awesome. Okay. So now let's get serious, because this is a tough case, Susan. This one was a tough one to research, but I definitely feel her story needs to be told. So this one, it's a sad story of Zahra Baker. She's a freckled-faced little girl you're about to fall in love with, but who suffered the most horrible abuse at the hands of her stepmom. I'm just going to say the stepmom's a monster, like really, really bad, like horrible. The case exposes failures in the child protection system despite multiple signs of abuse observed by neighbors, teachers, and others. Nothing was done to save Zahra.
Did you live here in North Carolina when this happened?
I did. Yep. I knew you were going to know this story. I don't think anybody who lives here doesn't. But like I said, I do think her story needs to be told. So let's talk a little bit about little Zahra. Zahra Baker was born to 19-year-old Emily Dietrich and 25-year-old Adam Baker in Wagga Wagga, Australia on November 16, 1999. Following Zahra's birth, Emily experienced overwhelming postpartum depression and made the extremely difficult decision to relinquish custody to Adam. She felt Zahra would have a better life with Adam and his extensive family. It would be a safer place for her. Emily said, "I don't want to be that mother. I didn't do it because I didn't love her. I did it because I did love her." Emily said she didn't want to be the mother who would drown her child or couldn't stop them from crying and ended up smothering them. Susan, we know how real postpartum depression is for some women, so this has to be a hard decision. She still saw her baby for the first 8 months, but then cut off all contact. Though Emily did eventually end up having 2 more children, she said even though she would still suffer depression, she knew at this point in her life how to get help for it. Of course, that decision to give up Zahra is something she will regret for the rest of her life.
You said she's 19?
Yeah, she was young. And some people didn't really know about depression after babies are born. It's a real thing, and I don't think it's always diagnosed.
Well, I had my first child at 19.
You did? Okay, so you're relating to her. Was it harder than when you were older having children? Did you suffer any postpartum?
I never suffered postpartum depression. I have 4, and I've never experienced that, so I can't relate to that.
Yeah, I only have 2. I haven't experienced, but we know people who have, and it's scary.
But I know at 19 years old, raising a child is hard. Mm-hmm. And to add mental illness or
good point
to that, I just can't even imagine.
Okay. Yeah, again, she made the best decision she was thinking for her child at the time. So, in 2004, when Zahra was 5, Adam and Zahra moved in with his parents in Northwest Australia. His parents would help take care of Zahra. Adam found work at a sugar mill in town. Zahra was a very happy child during this time, loved to run around, and was always smiling and laughing. She was said to have very big imagination. Though sadly in 2005, when Zahra was just 5 years old, she was diagnosed with a very rare type of bone cancer. Due to her illness, Zahra had the lower part of her leg amputated right above the knee. Even though this had to be so devastating, she told family and friends that her prosthetic leg was going to be like a new Barbie leg. She remained positive and cheerful through all this. She didn't want any pity. She just wanted to be like all the other kids. She did not let this slow her down. However, in 2007, they found out the cancer had unfortunately spread to her lungs. She would now spend most of her time undergoing chemotherapy. She had to have part of her lung removed. She now had this scar under her arm in the shape of an X, and she would tell her family that X marks the spot to her heart. So sweet. Although the treatment seemed to stop the growth of the tumors in her lungs, she was left with severe hearing problems. Again, she's not going to let all this get her down. It was said when she was in the hospital, she used to go around to the other children to cheer them up and take their minds off of what they were going through. She would bring joy to others. She attended a camp for children with cancer, and everybody got to see how remarkable she was, and she showed them her love for life. Even though she had already been through so much, her community loved her so much, they even raised money to buy her a wheelchair and a laptop so she could continue doing all her school work at home. Now, unfortunately, we're going to get to the part that changed her life forever. Back in 2006, her dad, Adam, 32 at the time, had met 42-year-old Elisa Fairchild through an online gaming site. It was one of those virtual games where you socialize using avatars that you create. Her screen name was Gothic Fairy. So apparently, they met through this game and began dating online.
That should have been a sign.
Yeah, he knew she was divorced from North Carolina and had 3 children. They fell in love without ever meeting in person. But really, Susan, how well can you really know someone you met online?
You don't.
You don't. Well, not very well, apparently, as he didn't even know all about her past husbands. So
husbands.
Husbands, plural. So that's the thing. I am going to briefly go over this. So we're going to take a quick look at the previous marriages and relationships just to give you a little insight into her. Just hold on, because there is a lot of information here, but I think it's so important so you can paint the picture of how deceitful and manipulative this lady was, and she targeted people she knew she could take advantage of. Alicia dropped out of school at 16, and by 17, Alicia had her first child named Amber, with a father who was not involved in their lives. Shortly after Amber's birth, Alicia reconnected with her high school ex-boyfriend, Jerry Winkler. Using her charm, Alicia persuades Jerry to propose within a week of reconnecting. Both were 17 and required their parents' permission to marry. To secure this, they lied to Jerry's parents, claiming he was Amber's father, and faked a blood test to prove it. Not sure how they faked it, but again, she's good at manipulation, so... This couple married on September 14th in 1985. However, Jerry soon felt overwhelmed by the responsibilities of being a young husband and stepfather. He felt he was still a kid and realized he wanted out. When Jerry's father realized he had been deceived into giving his consent, he got that marriage annulled in less than 4 months. Now, husband number 2. About a year later, Alicia met Joseph Proctor, who had previously been involved in a near-fatal car accident that left him struggling to walk. Alicia took advantage of his vulnerability. They dated for several months, and when Alicia told Joseph she was pregnant, he proposed. The couple married September 5th, 1987, when Alicia was 19 and Joseph was 28. Their son Douglas was born a few months later, followed by their daughter Brittany a year after that.
So she really was pregnant. I was thinking you were going to tell me.
Yeah, they had 2 together, but she's still very young.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She got 3? No.
Yeah.
2 kids by 19 and then a third?
Oh, she had the other one, yeah. So this is her third, yeah.
Oh, she busy.
And a very young mom. So they lived in a home owned by Joseph's mother, Levitas White. In April 1989, White sought a restraining order against Alicia, accusing her of stealing and destroying property. She claimed that Alicia threatened that she was going to burn the house down and even threatened to kill the kids. White ended up dropping the complaint. Alicia and Joseph's relationship ended. While she got custody of their daughter Brittany, Douglas, the son, stayed and lived with Joseph. Husband number 3. In 1992, Andrew Harris Jr. recalled first spotting Alicia at a honky-tonk bar, nursing a Jack Daniels. He fell in love with her immediately.
Well, it is North Carolina.
Yeah.
We love a good honky-tonk bar.
Some Jack Daniels? I don't know about that. But
I don't know about the Jack Daniels, but we all about some honky-tonk bar and some Bud Light.
So they ended up actually married a few months later. However, soon after their marriage, Alicia's personality changed significantly. Harris noted she became frequently angry and took out her frustrations on her daughters, often yelling at them. He also recounted how Alicia would lock the girls in their room to avoid dealing with them. The marriage continued to deteriorate, and after a heated argument in 1994, Andrew left the house for a few days. Upon his return, he discovered the house empty. Alicia had taken all the furniture, guns, and other items.
So she's on husband 3.
We're about to go to husband 4.
How many kids does she have now?
She has 3. One of them stayed with the one husband, and she has 2 with her.
Okay.
Remember that one? He kept the son, and she took the daughter.
3 and 3.
Husband number 4. In the fall of 1994, a neighbor introduced Daryl Putnam to Alicia, thinking she was the perfect match for Daryl, who was 30 and had been deaf for most of his life. He found it challenging to date due to his disability, although he could understand speech with his hearing aids. Alicia and Daryl's first date was at a bar, where she told him about her daughter, but falsely claimed that her 8-year-old daughter Amber had cancer. Within weeks, they moved in together. Daryl recalled that Alicia would disappear for days, going out for drinks and having fun, neglecting to stay home. When she was home, she would physically abuse her children. They married at the beginning of 95, but one day Daryl came home from work to find Alicia in bed with another man.
Oh my God.
Yep, devastated, he went to his mother's house and returned a few days later to find everything gone. This is sad, though, because Daryl's mom said all he wanted was a family, and he actually loved those girls. He stayed with her because of the girls, but in the end, she broke his heart. She was described as pure evil. We haven't even got to that part yet.
Well, I think Daryl dodged a bullet.
Yeah, it was later revealed that Alicia was never legally married to Daryl because she was still married to number 3. Husband number 5, Jeffrey Allred. They married October 1997, but soon after, Alicia's demeanor changed dramatically. We've heard this one before. He recounted that Alicia would beat him with a baseball bat and throw rocks at him.
Could you imagine you throwing rocks at your husband? Could you imagine throwing rocks at Paul or beating him with a baseball bat?
Well, he's a 6'2", 260-pound man. So he couldn't take the abuse anymore. So in the spring of 1998, she had taken her daughters to Walmart for groceries, and as soon as her car was gone, so was Jeffrey.
Thank God, Jeffrey.
Yep, he got out of there. Husband number 6.
Shit.
Aaron Young. They married August 8th, 1998, when she was 30 and he was 20. It was the first woman had showed him any real attention. Aaron had suffered from a bone disease often caused by poor nutrition that can lead to skeletal deformities. He had undergone multiple surgeries on his left leg and had a steel rod in the other leg. These conditions made him self-conscious and shy. Aaron's brother had said that Aaron took being married seriously and was a stable influence in those kids' lives. But the marriage did end in 2007 when Aaron's mom saw Alicia kissing another man in a car. So she appeared to be unfaithful to a few of these husbands. Though every time Alicia would leave her marriage, she would leave behind a trail of eviction notices, small claims judgments, and liens from landlords, utility companies, and other bill collectors. So Susan, as you can see, she's very manipulative.
She's a real gem.
Yep, and she pretty much shows these husbands because they're all vulnerable and she could take advantage of them. Alicia used to tell people she had terminal illnesses and different cancers. Posting on social media that she had brain cancer, even used her daughters to get attention, like telling people her youngest had cancer, and even pushed her oldest daughter, Amber, around in a wheelchair for no reason. This sounds to me like Munchausen syndrome. She would tell people she had these life-threatening illnesses, but of course they knew she was lying when she never died. So again, all this for attention. So let's go back to 2008. When Alicia does go to Australia to meet Adam.
And she's had 6 husbands.
So he would be the 7th.
And 3 children.
Yep. So let's point out, though, when she meets Adam, she's still legally married to husband number 6, Aaron Young. But obviously Adam doesn't know this. But when she gets to Australia and they meet in person, now the relationship really takes off. But a few months later, after arriving to Australia, they decide to get married. So as you can see, she marries very quickly to these husbands. She probably doesn't want them to know what she's really like. Despite everyone thinking they were moving a bit fast, also family and friends didn't like Alicia, as they could tell she was nothing but lies, telling them all kinds of crazy stories, like she had been a police officer and got shot in the leg so she couldn't work anymore. She also came up with this crazy story that she knew Doug the bounty hunter, as she had been a bounty hunter herself. But Adam didn't care. He knew they were meant for each other. They did marry July 8th, 2008 in Adam's parents' backyard. For Adam, it felt like everything was finally falling into place for the first time in years. He thought they could be happy family. Zahra was getting such wonderful health care in Australia, and it was also free. So everyone was concerned when this idea of them moving to Hickory, North Carolina came up. But Adam says that Alicia has money and would take care of her health costs. Just months after the wedding, they moved to the States. The problem was they didn't have this planned out. They have no money, no jobs, and no place to live. I'm guessing this also means no health insurance for Zahra, who clearly has a lot of medical needs. And from here on out, I'm not sure she's ever seen a doctor again. They decide to move in with Marshall Fairchild, Alicia's dad. But it was going to be really hard for Zahra to have to move away from all her family and friends, especially leaving her grandmother who always cared for her. It's sad. Zahra has so many new changes to get used to in America. She's now starting 3rd grade at Hudson Elementary in March of 2009. But it doesn't take long for Alicia to start to show her true colors. She became very strict and mean towards Zahra. And things are really hard for Adam and Alicia financially, and they begin to take advantage of Alicia's dad, Marshall. And he's had enough, and he makes them move out. But they left Marshall with hundreds of dollars in unpaid bills and even damage to one of his cars. Middle of 2009, they moved to an apartment in Granite Falls, North Carolina. Now Zahra has to start another new school. This newlywed couple starts to show marital troubles. The landlord, Shirley, says that Alicia and Adam seem to be fighting a lot. I mean, loud and physical fights. She's had enough and kicks them out. They were months behind in their rent by now. Shirley said it was odd that Adam and Alicia would come and go, but the little girl was never with them. She said they kept hearing all these noises in the attic, and she now believes they were keeping little Zahra locked up there because after they moved out, the noises stopped and they even found a sheet up there.
And the dad was letting that happen?
Yes. Yeah. You'll see that he...
What a fucking dick.
Mm-hmm. It gets way worse, Susan.
Oh, I know.
They left Granite Falls and moved into a trailer in Hudson, North Carolina. Zahra is 10 now and starts the 4th grade and does go back to Hudson Elementary. Around this time, Zahra did have lots of kids to play with here. But these neighbors got a look at what was really going on. A neighbor remembers seeing Alicia making Zahra march up and down a steep hill, cursing at her, hitting her, smacking her, and even making fun of her. Apparently, Zahra wanted to learn how to ride a bike, and Alicia told her she had to strengthen her leg to do so. So just pretty much did this to abuse her. Doing this was very painful for little Zahra. Neighbors did contact police and authorities to tell them of the abuse and even contacted Zahra's school. The school also had started to have their own concerns, even visiting Zahra at home. One teacher even gave Zahra her personal number and told her to reach out if she needed help. They were very concerned for her as she would come to school with bruises and even a black eye. The school called Caldwell County Department of Social Services, and they would come out to the house, but nothing ever got done. My guess is Zahra was probably too scared to say anything. One time when Alicia hit Zahra, she broke her own hand on Zahra's prosthetic leg. Thank God she missed her and hit the leg, but she breaks her own hand. That must have been a pretty hard hit she was going for. You also have to be asking yourself, where is the dad when all this is going on? You just asked me that, and let's rethink that. Of course, when people notice and comment on all the bruises, Alicia would say, oh, Zahra's just clumsy, blames it on her prosthetic leg, that she falls a lot. A hearing resource teacher at the school had Adam and Alicia reach out to a charity called Speedway Children's Charity to get her hearing aids. And Susan, the video I watched of her after getting them would melt your heart. She's just the sweetest little girl and was so happy on this day. With everything this poor child is going through, she is still all smiles. At around the end of summer, they move again to a rental house in Hickory. Alicia and Adam do not enroll Zahra in the public school system. So for her 5th grade year, she will now be homeschooled. But of course, there's no proof that she was actually homeschooled. They could have just did this to keep her out of the sight of others. Because remember, the last school did report her abuse. Now, sadly, Zahra would not have anyone to look out for her. The new neighbor said they never even saw the little girl. Who would know the abuse going on now? I mean, if she was so abusive to Zahra in front of the other neighbors before, what the hell was she doing behind closed doors? October 9th, 2010, at 5:30 a.m., Zahra Baker made a frantic 911 call to report a fire in their backyard, saying a mulch and wood pile were burning. Firefighters put out the fire, but they noticed a strong gasoline scent coming from Adam Baker's Chevy Tahoe. They found a handwritten ransom note on the windshield. The police were called to the scene. The ransom note read, Mr. Coffee, do you like being in control? Now who's in control? We have your daughter, and your pot-smoking redhead son is next unless you do what is asked. 1 million, unmarked, we'll be in touch soon, no cops. So Mr. Coffee is the owner of the company that Adam is working for. He also is Adam's landlord and the owner of the house they're living in. He actually owns the house. So the police immediately check in with Mark Coffee, and they find his daughter is safe and unharmed. So now what makes us all suspicious that you just had a fire at your house and a ransom note on your truck, and you don't go immediately check on your own daughter? Adam Baker placed another 911 call around 2 p.m. this day, this time reporting that Zahra was missing. But listening to a little bit of this call is beyond disturbing. How he tells the 911 operator about the previous ransom note and says he thinks maybe the kidnapper thought Zahra was Mr. Coffee's daughter and mistakenly took her, and that the fire must have been a distraction. He claims the last time he saw his daughter due to his work schedule was at 2:30 a.m. said she was asleep in her room. When questioned why he had not seen her in almost 12 hours, he says it was because they all had that drama last night. I'm guessing he means the morning fire. And then they went back to bed. Then makes the comment that Zahra is coming into puberty and that she is in the broody stage, so they don't see her much unless she needs something, and is laughing while saying this. WTF, Susan. Your child's missing and you're laughing? He also tells the 911 operator that Zahra's prosthetic leg is missing, which is a huge red flag because she did not sleep with it on. So what? The kidnapper put it on before taking her? Or did he take it separately? But now the FBI does join in and they issue an Amber Alert. Though the next day, Alicia was taken into custody for various crimes, which include communicating threats, writing bad checks, larceny, and driving with a revoked license. All crimes unrelated to Zahra Baker, but at least this gets her into the police station. They ended up giving her a polygraph test. They asked these questions. Did she hurt Zahra? Did she know anyone who had harmed Zahra? And if she knew who wrote that ransom note? Can you guess the results?
I'm thinking she failed.
She failed. The search and rescue canines were dispatched to search both the Bakers' residency and their vehicles. These highly trained dogs did detect the scent of human remains within both the Chevy Tahoe and a sedan belonging to the Baker family. The vehicle was seized. Now they find that there's lighters, gas cans, and drug paraphernalia in the vehicles. Law enforcement also swapped 3 areas that believed to be blood in the trunk of the Tahoe. Investigators did discover traces of human remains in the house. Also found blood in Zahra's room and in the drain of their bathtub. Adam Baker maintained his innocence, even making an appearance on Good Morning America alongside the Hickory police chief. He makes a heartfelt plea for individuals to please come forward if they have any information on where Zahra is. He does say he believes Alicia is somehow involved.
Oh, does he?
And now he's probably getting nervous because he don't look so good either.
No, he looks terrible. And he is terrible. He knows his daughter was being abused.
How do you not see bruises all over her all the time?
Yep.
And
how do you not know you married a fucking bitch?
That's right.
In my opinion.
In Susan's opinion.
And Nancy's too. I'm speaking for her.
Yes. The police chief expressed the challenge that they are facing in locating anyone who has seen Zahra within the last few weeks. Because Adam can't seem to remember. He first said the last time he saw Zahra was the morning of the fire. Then he said he had not seen her since October 7th. Or was it the 6th? But how do you not remember the last time you seen your daughter? Or was it the story that the 3 of them went to Oktoberfest on the 8th? But someone did see them there, but Zahra was not with them. The last confirmed sighting was September 22nd at a furniture store in Hickory. A worker claimed that they saw Zahra in the store with Alicia. The worker said she remembered her because she thought how sad it was that this little girl has a hearing aid and a prosthetic leg. So, she stood out to them and they remembered her. Alicia does admit now to writing that ransom note, which they were already suspicious since it's in her handwriting. So then she was arrested for obstruction of justice. Sadly, the Amber Alert for Zahra is canceled by the Hickory police. Now, instead of a kidnapping case, they are focusing on a homicide. At this point, many people come forward to tell stories the abuse they had witnessed. Alicia's own daughter, Brittany, tells the police that though she's now estranged with her mother, she had once lived with them and also witnessed the horrible abuse. She said that her mother was the definition of an evil stepmother, claiming Alicia would get mad and take it out on poor Zahra, telling them how she kept Zahra locked in her room most of the day, just letting her out to eat. She had witnessed her mom beating Zahra. She details to the police what a horrible life Zahra had because of her mom. Brittany did call the Department of Social Services. After that, Brittany moved out and was no longer allowed to see Zahra. Well, I'm thinking they forced her out because, she reported it.
Well, probably, but Brittany did the right thing.
Oh, she absolutely
did. Even though it
did.
didn't work out
And she even took her out one day, took her out in the car, and then when the mom found out, that was it. Because, gosh forbid, Zahra had a little fun.
I mean, your mother's a monster, and it seems like she wasn't. Brittany's not a monster.
No, and she did report it. Her other daughter, Amber Fairchild, told the courts that Alicia had received $10,000 recently from a man in England who she met online. Alicia had told this man she had cancer, and so he was sending her money for medication because she told him she couldn't afford it. She tells him all this because she believes her mom is a flight risk, and she is able to get them to increase her bail so she can stay put in jail.
Well, look at that. She's got another child who seems to be a decent human being.
Both her children are, but yet here she is manipulating another man for money and lying to him about her mysterious illnesses she doesn't have. But I guess she had talked about trying to get out of North Carolina because she knows what she did.
I can't even manipulate my husband out of $5.
Yeah, she must have been pretty good.
She must have been, or I suck. I don't know.
So yeah, as the investigation goes on, Alicia knew she's in trouble. She agrees to tell them where they will find the remains of Zahra, but in exchange, they cannot charge her with first-degree murder or charge capital punishment. She does tell them that Zahra had been dismembered and her remains were going to be found in several different areas. Alicia tells the story that Zahra died on September 24th. She claimed Zahra had dinner that night as usual, then went to bed. And when she went to check on her, she was not breathing. So, she must have died of natural causes. She claims she did try CPR. She tells how when she called Adam to tell him, he was worried about being deported back to Australia, so tells Alicia not to call 911. She says Adam then put Zahra in the bathtub to dismember her, and he was the one who disposed of the body. She tells a horrible story that he picked those places to discard her remains because he knew the animals would pretty much dispose of them. She then admits to writing that ransom note to make it look like a kidnapping. Adam says, of course, this is all untrue, that Alicia was the one who did everything. The police don't have enough to go after Adam, but they do arrest Alicia for murder because she knew where the remains would be found. Also, they have phone records putting Alicia at these various places the days she claimed that he disregarded them. The body, that is. Adam's phone records confirm he was not in the area when this took place. He was at work over 20 miles away. But it sure seems like Adam knew what was going on, since 9 calls that Alicia made to Adam that day, 3 of them came from the locations where some of the remains were found. So it's like she was updating him as, she's doing this. But we don't actually know that, but she did call him 3 times. At least 3 calls were from locations that those body parts were found. Hickory police find a prosthetic leg in the brush in Caldwell County, and by contacting the medical records from back in Australia, they were able to match the serial number, confirm it does belong to Zahra. The following week, they also, in the same area, find a bone, and after getting it tested from a sample from the Baker's home, the DNA matched. Over the next few days, more remains would be found. Emily Dietrich, remember Zahra's biological mother? She arrives in the United States. She provides the police with a DNA sample to complete a DNA profile for Zahra. She does say that she had been trying to find Zahra over the years, but with Adam moving around so much, she was never able to. And she's heartbroken. I've seen some videos of her. So since they could not determine the cause of death, it was ruled an undetermined violent homicide. Around 2,000 people attended a memorial for Zahra on November 16th in downtown Hickory. This day would have been her 11th birthday. I'm sorry, this is just heartbreaking. And Adam never showed up. He says he didn't want to put the focus on him. But how do you not show up for a vigil for your child? So, February 2011, Alicia was indicted on second-degree murder. She would get 18-year prison sentence for chopping up her daughter, stepdaughter, and throwing her away like trash. I mean, I get it because it was reduced to second degree, but it just doesn't seem enough. 18 years for that, it doesn't seem enough. though she does get an additional 10 years added because in 2013, she got charged for conspiracy to distribute prescription drugs. Adam to this day claims his innocence. He finally did get arrested in 2011, but nothing in connection with the death of his daughter. He was charged with identity theft and obtaining property under false pretense. He got deported back to Australia, but he gets to take Zahra's remains with him. According to an article in the Seattle Times on September 22nd, an IMVU user was in a chat room with Adam Baker and Alicia Baker. The user says they were having a conversation about a chainsaw massacre in a role-playing scenario. Now remember, Zahra was dismembered, they believe, days after this conversation. This conversation also involves Aaron Young. I mean, this is just messed up. A chainsaw massacre scenario playing out days before the little girl is chopped up in a bathtub. So in 2012, they do find her skull, but still they could not answer any more questions on how she died. A new law went into effect in North Carolina, making it illegal to dismember or desecrate a body to conceal it from police. So we now have a law about this, Susan. And had this law been in place, she may have gotten some more years onto her sentence. It's afterwards, so it doesn't affect those 18 years she already has. 18 years.
So she's still locked up.
Do the math. It must be coming up pretty quickly.
It's got to be coming up. Yep.
October 21st, 2021, there was a ribbon cutting ceremony at the Kiwanis Park in Hickory for Zahra Baker All Children's Playground and Treehouse, which provides amenities that are accommodating for individuals with disabilities. It has wheelchair ramps, multiple ground level activities, educational and sensory elements, and handicap accessible play products. Zahra Baker's case serves as a reminder of the responsibility society has to protect its most vulnerable members and the ongoing need for improvements to prevent such tragedies. The case got widespread media coverage, which helped to raise public awareness about the critical issues of child abuse and domestic violence. So this is the sad case about little Zahra.
Thanks for joining us on Empty Nesters True Crime Podcast, where we've delved into chilling mysteries and dark secrets. With their nest now empty, Susan and Nancy will keep uncovering the truth and venturing into the unknown. Until next time, stay safe and step into the shadows with us again.